Boxingego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. One.
Time to get the B-roll that you need to get. So you have the footage, so the headline after be like, this is what it looked like before he knocked Triple G out. We're going to start right here.
Okay. What's up, boss?
How's training camp so far?
Great. Training camp is doing very well. You know, it was a great decision for me to come out here, base my camp here, see some different things, clear my mind, be away from a lot of distractions, but just ultimately get that good training, get that good endurance, and make sure I can be in the best possible shape.
So much has been said about Gennady Golovkin's perception is that he's the most feared middleweight out there. What do you expect from him to come fight tonight?
Well, I don't expect to fear him. I don't fear him. I can see why people say that, but I'm a fighter through and through. I don't fear any person. And to go inside that ring with a fear mentality, I mean, why even go inside the ring?
I know as a fighter you don't want to feel his power, but the question arises throughout the media and fans that could you take his punch? What do you take to that question? Why is that question being asked?
I think it's being asked because clearly people question my chin for some odd reason because I've been down 2 times in my career. I mean, if you want to question that about me being 2 times, it's understandable. And he's also a very, very strong guy, and he's put out a lot of different guys as well. So I can understand why the questions are there. But it's just up to me to prove, that I'm bigger than that I'm stronger, that I'm better, and that I can prevent those things.
And as for yourself, the questions you have in part of Gennady Golovkin, Kell seemed like he was able to rock him during their fight. He's a much smaller fighter. If you land on him, what do you expect? What could you do if you're able to land clean on him? What do you expect?
I don't know what to expect. We don't know how truly he handles punches, big punches. But if he allows me to hit him, then I guess we'll see at that present time.
Do you think that his chin might be a question?
I don't know. It's anybody can be hurt. This is boxing. This whole genetic thing and this whole talk about he's unstoppable, he's never been hurt, or all this talk about his chin. I mean, it's going to be questioned once he get hit, and by a true middleweight. I'm looking forward to just winning. However that win comes, I'm just looking forward to it. But the questions about his chin, the questions about his heart, I mean, it's up for debate. But at the end of the day, I don't care nothing about that. I just want to win.
And last question, being in camp with Virgil Hunter and Andre Ward, what advice have they give you? Because they have their run-ins with Gennady Golovkin and his team. What advice have they give you?
It's a mental battle. Andre Ward, I respect and have the utmost respect for that guy. And he's a role model for me. I've looked up to him since I was an amateur. And just hearing him talk and feeling the presence and the energy, it's just great for me, and it's added for motivation because, sometimes you can go through little phases, little laps in camps, and when you have these guys around pushing you, and that's what I feel like I was missing back in New York because there wasn't a lot of true champions out there that you kind of rub shoulders with, but being out here with guys who've been at this level is very helpful.
In regards to Andre, does it surprise you his retirement talks?
It's surprising, but I fully support him if he wants to retire because a guy like that who has done everything from an amateur and professional standpoint, what else could you ask for?
Some people feel that he should, being that the clause was in the contract, that he should give the rematch to Kovalev before he retires. Do you think that's his due or depends?
That's up for debate. Like I said before, I have to support any decision he chooses to make. As a fan, I would love to see him back in there again. But as a friend and someone who I admire, I support him no matter what.
Feels it will be a much easier fight for him. Do you believe that? If he was to face
in my opinion, yeah, I believe that it'll be. I won't say easier fight, but I feel like he has the edge now, especially the mental edge, and that's very critical for a guy like that at that level.
So, Danny, in the past, Gennady has done some kind of showboating in a way of when he's fighting, he kind of lets his hands down and lets people hit him. And he's, kind of his reasoning behind that is that he wants to give the fans a show. If he does that with you in the ring, How's that going to work out?
Well, I think you're a fool if you believe that he allows anyone to hit him. But if he does, then he would know the dangers of those guys. But I'm a completely different guy. I don't think he would allow me to hit him. I think you'll be a fool to just sit there with your hands down to get the crowd aroused, you know. But if he wants to do that, by all means.
Do it, right?
By all means.
So another question for you about his actual conditioning. It kind of looked like in his last fight with Kilbrook that his conditioning was a little off. He was a little more out of breath. And now that you're working with snack and everything like that, do you think conditioning plays into your favor?
We have yet to see, but I know that I would be in the best condition in a very, very long time. If not, this would be the best camp that I've ever had. Everything is going well, and me being a part of snack and seeing the modernized technology and being in shape like that and being with their equipments and working at the high altitudes and things of that nature, it's just incredible. I'm learning a lot about the body. I'm learning a lot about how I can implement these things in the training camp, and I look forward to really displaying it.
Definitely. And then so another question for you. In New York, your training camps are held in your basement, correct? So you have a kind of a basement gym there.
Yeah.
And then coming here to Snack, which is, state-of-the-art technology, and then coming to Virgil Hunter's gym and things like that. Just tell us about the difference in just kind of, the media stir here versus kind of secluding yourself in New York and everything like that. How does this work for you?
Well, I knew if I was to be stationed in New York that, the request of media work would be nonstop. And I understand, that they want to promote this fight, but I understand also that this is the biggest fight of my career, and I wanted to isolate myself so that I can focus on this fight and the fight alone. The media is fine and it's great, but it has its time. My main job is to make sure that I'm prepared for being inside the ring. But being in New York and being in Brooklyn and Long Island with the distractions and the traffic and all the crazy stuff, I just wanted to separate myself.
And being a color commentator, how much do you wish that you could call your own fight?
I do wish I can call this fight. I think it would be a really good fight to call. I always love like the underdog stories, when they actually come out on top and no one gives you a shot and everyone says that this is going to be that. But I've proven time and time again that when my back is against the wall, I can prevail.
Hey Jacobs, how are you coming into this fight differently? How are you coming to this fight differently prior to other fights after knowing that this is the second biggest fight of your career?
Well, I just think it's first knowing and understanding and realizing that this is the biggest fight of my career and taking the proper precautions. So coming out here was one of those steps. My mental focus is another step. And just doing little things, implementing little things that give me that edge. I want to be victorious, but not only victorious, I want to look good doing it. I want to give the fans a great show, so I know I have to be in extreme condition.
Are you looking at any Triple G footage?
Of course. I'm not one of those guys who don't like to study. I think it's kind of crazy that guys take pride in not studying their opponents, but I'm one to study. I study habits, and we capitalize off those things.
Which one of the flaws you see in Triple G?
There's a handful of flaws.
Did we get one specific?
His defense. He's there to get hit. Even though he's monstrous offensively, his defense doesn't add up. And if I can be my best at my defense and be on my A game as well with my offense, then it's going to be a long night.
Are you going to do anything different this fight prior to all your other fights that you have?
We have yet to see. I don't know what will go down inside the fight. The true champions make adjustments if need be, but I know we have a game plan that we're going to try to implement. And if we need to go to a game, plan B or plan C, we will be prepared for that as well.
Now, you made some additions to your camp this time. Chris Algieri this go-round, Virgil Hunter. Why this fight and why right now these new additions?
Well, first off, I want to take my hat off to you, brother, for not only just being neutral, but, being what a reporter is supposed to be, right? Not being biased, not putting your own personal opinions in there, and just respecting the sport. So hats off to you, brother.
Appreciate that.
What was your question again?
Yeah, you made some additions to your camp. Chris
Yeah.
Algieri being one of them. Virgil Hunter's assistants. So what do you think about, or what made it right now the time for those additions?
I just think it was just meant to be. You know, I've always known Chris to be a great guy, and I've always known him to really know his nutrition. And when I see his Instagram and his Facebook and stuff like that, I'm like, man,
You start getting hungry.
yeah, you know, this guy is amazing. But, you know, I never thought about him being inside my camp. And it just so happened to be that he was available for this time. He's just like, man, everything is kind of coming together. You know, he's willing to come out here, you know, and train with me and help me with my nutrition. And, you know, my nutrition can be on point, as it's always kind of been, but he's on a whole nother level. I mean, you know, he knows his stuff, and not only that, he's a world-class athlete. You know, he's been at this level before as a professional boxer, so the mental gain that you get from this is, you know, through the roof as well.
Definitely. And there's a lot of criticism about the Dimitri Perot loss, but people don't factor in that you beat cancer after that point and things like that. So in your mind, what does that loss mean to you, and like how did you bounce back from that?
I mean, I think the proof is in the pudding. You know, I haven't lost a fight since. Looked extremely better throughout my fights. And aside from the emotional part that I was going through with all the stuff that was outside of the ring with my family, my grandmother passing away, aside from all of that, I was, 21, 22 years old? I mean, I was still a young man. I was a kid. I'm a full-fledged man now. You know, I know how to crack. I got that experience. And I've seen the game. You know, you grow in this sport. You know, if I was to remain the same kid that I was then, I wouldn't be here at this level now. So, you know, I think that speaks volumes. And I think people are going to always look for something to criticize. And the easiest thing to criticize is the loss that I took with Pirog. But, you know, I know it's the sport of boxing, you're always going to have to prove yourself. You know, Mayweather gets scrutinized through his whole entire career. It's like, what else do he have to prove? But people still criticize him. So who am I to say that, you know, I'm subjected to that, you know?
Speaking of criticism, some people said you were ducking the fight, you didn't want the fight because of this December negotiations. Can you tell the fans a little bit about the business side that was going on?
Well, see, what people don't understand, and I get it from a frustrated fan perspective, especially when they don't know the business side or how it goes, you know, we fight for a living. You know, I fight for my family. I want to make sure I'm compensated accordingly. And you said it best. You know, they're making this guy out to be the biggest guy. They're making him out to be the superstar. He's selling out arenas. So pay me accordingly. If he's the superstar guy, if he's the main man, why would I not want to get compensated accordingly? If this is the biggest fight that could be made at middleweight, then why not want to get paid accordingly? And that was the main reason why it has taken so long, because it's supposed to be scheduled for December. But now that it's in March, the paperwork was right. I'm happy with the business side of it, and you know, the training part, that's all up to me now. It's my job to get in there and do my job.
And then lastly, fighting at home for a big and dangerous fight, New York, how's that feel?
It feels great. I just feel like, you know, I wouldn't want to have it any place in the world other than New York, because the Mecca of boxing, Madison Square Garden, it's historic. You know, and this is one of those historic fights. You know, so I believe from a fan and from my own perspective, I just feel like it couldn't have been at a better place, because New York fans are the best. The Mecca of boxing throughout the history of the world has been the #1 place for big, extravagant fights. So me being a New Yorker is just icing on the cake.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, Danny. My first question is, I noticed that you brought your whole team out here with you. How good does that feel? Because I know you're moving locations, but it feels good to see familiar faces. Talk about the atmosphere, your coaches, and all that stuff.
It feels great. I mean, to have my whole team come out here and to have that home feeling away from home is everything. You know, it plays into my mental. I don't feel like, you know, I'm out here on my own. I'm doing things that I've never done before. I have my whole team, and my family actually came out to see me one time, you know, so that was incredible. So I don't feel like the sacrifice of being away is bad. You know, I feel like it's a great sacrifice because it's mixed. You know, me being a dad too, you know, me being able to see my son is just, you know, it's everything. But, you know, when you make a sacrifice like this and you've been away for weeks upon weeks upon weeks, it just, you know, it adds to that fury, it adds to that, you know, that motivation to get in there, and bro, it adds to that motivation.
And I hear a lot of people with you, they talk about the mental side, but I don't think people understand the hell you went through when you were outside of boxing. Is there anything Gennady Golovkin can mentally bring to you that you didn't have to go when you were outside of boxing, surviving cancer, losing a loved one?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, the physical challenges that I faced with learning how to walk again and going through chemo and radiation and all those different things, I mean, that was the lowest of the lows. I mean, there's nothing in this world, including the fight with Gennady Golovkin, that can mentally break me or mentally make me fearful of overcoming. I mean, I almost died, you know. I'm not gonna die inside that ring. You know, it's a different type of, it's different levels.
You put context to the sport, I'm kind of hearing, where like this is real life as opposed to like you're the best at a competition.
Right, it's still a sport. I mean, it's a sport where you could get hurt, but in the same time, it's a sport. You know, I'm just looking forward to being the best in this sport, being the best in my division, and proving that I'm one of the best in the world.
And finally from me, I know you talked about the snack train. Can you go a little bit more about that hypoxic, all that cool stuff? And is there any of those supplements that you're like taking, man? Because I'm trying to get fit.
Well, the hypoxic trainer was the bubble, and just the different workouts that I haven't really been used to doing. And it's already taken an effect on me. I mean, I can go 12 rounds now, even though we're kind of pacing ourselves, but you know, I feel really good. I feel really good working with those guys. They've added a little niche to my training and my condition, and like I've said before, I'm looking forward to implementing all those things come fight night.
And are you a ZMA dude, or is there any of those supplements that you like, or nah?
Oh, you're gonna try to get me to answer that, huh? I'm not gonna answer that, bro.
Okay, I'm next. John Responding with MaxBoxing.com. Let's check it out. Danny, working with Virgil Hunter for the first time, and this is, you know, Virgil's a very cerebral guy. Tell me what he's bringing to your camp that, you know, really the basic reason why you came out here to work with him. What was the reason, you can tell me?
Well, I mean, like I said in the beginning, Virgil opened up the gym initially to us and allowed us to train here. But in addition, you know, he helps us out with, you know, little things that he sees and that he can add. He's a mastermind of the sport. He's been around for a very long time. Him and my trainer have a really great relationship, so it's no super ego inside this training camp. It all works for everybody. And the main objective for everybody is to make sure that I'm successful come March 18th.
Explain to me a little bit about that